Welcome back to Nutty Education, and on today's episode we are going to talk about the so-called justice system, a system that humans have put in place to provide justice, to ensure that any crimes that happen, that the right justice is always provided. Now this so-called justice system, it is very, very corrupt, because it is not based on justice at all. It is based on one thing, and that is money. See, when a crime happens, people must go to court and they must pay money for lawyers, for legal teams, etc, etc. So you actually have to pay money for a good legal team, for a good chance at winning your case. And even the laws themselves, they are made on purpose to not be easily understandable by everyone, so that you are forced to hire a solicitor and pay money for a solicitor just to even understand the law. It's ridiculous. This so-called justice system, it is blatantly an unfair system, one that favours the rich and ensures that whoever can pay for the best legal team, they will have the most chance of winning the case. See, if this was a fair system, if this was a true justice system that actually does provide justice, it would not require the two parties to pay money for legal teams, because that automatically is a recipe for corruption. How can you have a system that requires you to pay money for the best lawyers and the best legal team? How can you not see that this isn't justice? This is just a system favouring those with the most money. A true justice system based on actual justice wouldn't care if one party is rich and one party is poor. They wouldn't require any party to pay for better lawyers than the other. They wouldn't even make that a factor. They would only look at one thing and one thing alone, and that is justice. The fact that you have to pay for better lawyers and better solicitors, you are already by default favouring the rich. You're already by default putting the rich at an unfair advantage, which is not justice. And this is exactly why you always hear about massive companies and big corporations such as Disney and all these other big corporations. This is why you always hear that whenever they go to court, they somehow magically get away with it and win the case. Even if there's so much evidence against them, even if they're blatantly in the wrong, this is why you always hear that these big corporations get away with what they get away with, because they have the most money, they're the richest, they have the best legal team, they're at an unfair advantage because it's a corrupt system, it's not based on actual justice, and lo and behold, they get away with it due to their money. Now there is one more tactic that I want to point out, and I call it the Shane McMahon tactic, because if you're like me and you watch wrestling, you would know that it was pulled off by someone in wrestling called Shane McMahon. And before anyone says it, yes, I know that wrestling is a storyline based TV show, but this tactic does happen in real life. It is a real life issue. But the Shane McMahon tactic, it is this. Imagine you had a rich person and a poor person, or a rich person and an average person, and they were both battling each other in court. One sneaky tactic that the rich people can do is they can drag out the case for as long as they want. They can drag it out for years and years and years. Just drag this whole case out, and by doing this, they cause the other people, the poor people, or the people with not as much money as them, they cause them to pay legal fees upon legal fees upon legal fees. And by dragging the case out and getting the other person to pay all these fees, the rich, they can avoid being charged that way, because the poor person, they ain't gonna want to pay all these legal fees. They can't afford to pay all these legal fees. So what do? They just drop the case, and the rich, they get away with it. The Shane McMahon tactic. So I hope you can see now that the justice system we have in place is not based on true justice. It is based on money, it favours the rich, and it is a corrupt system. I hope you realise. But that is the end of this episode of Nutty Education. Leave a comment down below what you think. Subscribe for more educating content. Like this video because it helps my ass out. And peace, bitch.